content in this show for guitar spotters. We'll be taking a trip over to Oswestry, the English-Welsh border, to visit Patrick James Eggle, who's going to take us on a tour of his workshop.
And I'll be checking out ATB Guitars in Cheltenham, a feature that we shot last year.
And later on in the show, we're going to be rolling out with a video of Simon Jones recorded at the BRG show last year. He's going to show us some more of his fantastic collection and some clever finger picking too.
But first, let's go take the tour.
Welcome to Britain's Rare Guitars. We've got a very exciting day lineup today. We're at Patrick James Eggle Guitars, and I'd like to introduce Patrick. Patrick, thank you very much for having us today.
Hello, James.
How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. Very well, thank you.
So take us through what you're going to have a look at today.
Okay, we're going to go through our entire workshop. We're going to start off in the wood store area. Then we're going to go and see the production facility where the bodies and necks are machined and assembled. We're going to see how they're sprayed, and then we're going to look at the final assembly and setup. And also, we're going to look at where Faith guitars and Shergold guitars are checked over, inspected and set up prior to dispatch.
Great stuff, let's go have a look.
Well, James, so this is the machine shop. So we do all the wood machining, all the NC work, a lot of the sanding we do here, sanding benches.
Okay, yeah.
Right here we've got bodies and necks that are mainly built and not sanded.
Right, okay.
We've got, this is the body from Macon Single Cut.
Okay.
It's rough sanded. It's waiting on final sanding.
Right.
This is really nice 4A flame top.
Yeah, it's gorgeous flame on there.
So it's going to go in sanding next.
Right. And then if we can we get a close-up on these inlays?
Yeah, sure. This is our kind of vine inlay, tree of life inlay type thing. Not quite so popular these days. Everybody wants aged and old and everything.
You get more off the dot.
Yeah.
Traditional inlays, yeah.
That's right. But this is really, really nice nevertheless. It's gold mother of pearl and black mother of pearl. Okay, this is a spec sheet for one of our guitars.
Okay.
Everything that we build here has a spec sheet. There isn't like a standard model that we just say, oh, it's a 96, so we build it in that way. Everything has a spec sheet, so it gives pickup format, what type of woods we use, radius of the fretboard, the profile of the neck, all that kind of thing.
So no two guitars are identical then?
Exactly. And right behind me, Sam is working on some pickguard details for the 96 guitar. We're moving the volume knob slightly.
Right, okay.
So that's another ongoing thing. This is our CNC router.
Okay.
Does a lot of the work around here. In here you can see that's our baseboard for our 96 pickguard, for all the plastic pickguards that are cut. These guitars are halfway through spraying.
Okay.
So here we've got a drop-top T-style guitar.
This quillet's stunning. It's so symmetrical.
Yeah, well, the symmetry comes from the fact that it's book matched.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really nice kind of tiger eye burst, I guess it is.
We've got matching. Presumably this is the neck going on
this is
this
the
one.
neck for this guitar. So there you go, colour match headstock and flame maple at the back.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
really
going to be
nice.
real
It's going to be a very
stunner.
pretty guitar, that one.
Real stunner, that one. They're sort of halfway through being sprayed, so they've had the first 5 or 6 coats. Okay. And they're curing at the moment. And then when the first 5 or 6 coats have cured, then we flatten them back, and they go back into the spray shop and have some more layers, as it were. Okay, that's a drop-top 96.
So this is spalted maple?
Yeah, spalted flame maple, and we haven't done anything with this one. We've just lacquered it. Right. There's no colour on it or anything. We just left that natural. Sometimes natural is best. Again, over one-piece swamp ash, very light.
Is this Humbucker P90 looking?
Humbucker P90, that's it. Soap bar P90, and it's got a floating trem. We have another 96 here. This is actually finished.
Okay.
So this is the grained open pore finish that we do.
That's really nice.
This one's grained black. We spray the colour straight onto the bare wood.
Right.
And that dries out, and then we put a very, very thin base coat over that. Okay. It sinks right into the grain. Then over the base coat, we'll rub the contrasting colour into the pores of the wood.
Okay.
Okay, and then clean it off, and then it gets a top coat over that.
So looking at this rack, is the 96 your most popular model, or is that Chance today that we're...
Probably equal with the Macon single cut
Right.
at the moment. This is a bit more price friendly, but they're both really popular, and we build both, I think, in equal amounts. This is a conversation that we have normally every day regarding aesthetics
Okay.
with pickup choices
Yep.
on 96s especially, and we hold all sorts of different pickup options in stock,
Right.
and we like to leave it till sort of final assembly and look at the different colours and take a view on what's going to work with that instrument.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes, regardless of what's been ordered, we might change it because it just doesn't work
Right.
with the aesthetic. So with this guitar, which is going to America, we're kind of umming and ahhing between the covered humbucker in the bridge and the white open coil, and I think we're going to go with the open coil
Right.
cars.
So was that the initial spec, or is this like a last-minute alteration?
This one was actually left open for us to actually decide at the end, and it looks like we've made a decision. So
I'm here with Kieran now, and we're having a look at what goes on inside these guitars to make them sound so great. So Kieran, can you just talk me through what you're doing?
Yeah. So inside our guitars, we tend to have the same kind of wiring for all our models. So master volume, master tone, and some form of switch. If we have a humbucker, we'll always do a coil tap. So we tend to use the tone as have a push-pull pot for this. We use paper and oil capacitors for the tone cap. We use a range of values which will match to the pickups that are going in the guitar.
Right, okay.
And we use paper and oil just because it's a classic type of capacitor used in all the great guitars. So we have a little resistor, and we put that in between ground and the second coil, or the coil we're going to shut off.
Okay.
And it allows a very small amount of that coil to come through in the signal. It keeps the pickup humbucking, and also gives it a much thicker and more usable sound as opposed to not having the resistor there.
Right, okay. Which you compare to like a hot...
Yeah, I'd
single
compare
coil
it more to a hot single coil.
Right, so it's much more usable than your standard, which might sound
Definitely.
quite thin on a coil cut.
Definitely.
Right, okay.
And we also use treble bleed circuits. They go on the volume pot, and they make the volume roll off a lot smoother. You don't get any sudden drop-offs.
Right, okay.
And they stop becoming too dark and muddy as you roll down the volume.
so
So
keep
the
your
volume
clarity
is
in.
more usable all across the board.
Right, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that's really impressive. It looks so neat as well.
Welcome back to Britain's Rare Guitars. As you can see, I'm somewhere real special today in Cheltenham at ATB Guitars. Now, ATB Guitars is owned by Mike Long. How you doing, Mike?
I'm very well, thank you, Gareth.
Well, Mike, you're obviously a fantastic collector. You've got all these lovely instruments around. How did you get started?
Well, it started many years ago when I was at university. I've always been into guitars. I've always liked vintage guitars. And I guess one of the pivotal moments for me at university was when Cheap Trick came to play. I was on the university Ents committee, and had access to backstage. And Rick Nilsson was there, the guitarist from Cheap Trick, who brought with him a raft of guitars, vintage Fender, Blackguards, Strats, Carina V's, 59 Les Pauls, and he was very kind. He took the time to show me his collection, explained what everything was, and
He brought all those guitars for one gig.
just for one university gig, yeah,
Nice.
about 30 of them, and I couldn't believe it. But I think from that moment I was hooked, and that became my passion.
So what was the first vintage guitar that you bought then?
I think the first vintage guitar, again at Leicester, was a 59 Les Paul Junior, which I bought for the princely sum of £325.
And the juniors weren't actually that popular back then, were they?
No, they weren't. No, everyone was after the Les Paul Strats, so the juniors were relatively affordable.
So you've started off collecting. So how did you get to this lovely guitar lounge that we're in now?
So from 1999, I've been doing guitars almost exclusively. And I've been doing it from my front room and from a storage unit. As my thirst and enthusiasm for guitars grew, and my collection grew as well, it just became totally impractical to carry on like this. So a year ago I started looking for new premises. It was difficult finding the right sort of premises. Then all of a sudden this came on the market. I had a bit of a battle for it, but eventually I got it and moved in straight away.
So over the years, you've got to have some stories for us about these instruments. Tell us one of those.
Yes, there's been lots of stories. One which has happened only just recently, actually, is the acquisition of this very lovely 1963 Fender Stratocaster.
The one on the left there.
The
Yeah.
one on the left in original Olympic white, yes. That was bequeathed to the son of the original owner after he sadly died, I believe about 4 years ago. But they didn't know what it was. They had it basically in a cupboard for 4 years until somebody did a bit of research on it, found out that it might be something quite valuable, and then I was introduced to these people from a friend and met the son. He brought it down here, we had a good look at it. He was a very, very pleasant guy, very humble, and was totally amazed about how valuable it actually was.
Wow.
And,
so from 4 years not knowing what it was.
yes, I just thought it was an ordinary guitar, not worth much at all.
And that was a
63 Olympic white Fender Stratocaster.
I've got the 1963 Fender Stratocaster. Now I normally play a Strat, it's my go-to guitar, but this one I'm really curious about this, how it's going to sound, so let's get stuck in. Wow, it plays like a dream. Wouldn't know that that was 50 years old. This is phenomenal. Well worth the money, well worth the investment. Love it. Mike, can I take it home?
No.
Oh, it's a gorgeous thing. Oh, I love that guitar. Anyway, let's get back to James in Oswestry.
So we've seen a few of the models in the workshop. Could you tell me a little bit more specs-wise about each one?
So what we probably build most of is the 96 model, which is our S-style guitar. They predominantly feature super light one-piece swan pash bodies, you know, selected for their weight. They have a range of pickup formats, usually roasted maple neck with a fretboard of either roasted maple, rosewood or ebony. They all feature patinated pick guards, which are basically brass pick guards, and then they're treated with acid and water and fire and all kinds of things to give them these really cool, weird patina finishes.
They do look really cool, yeah.
Every single one is completely unique. So that's another nice thing about that.
Yeah, and you were saying that you offer like a vintage kind of setup and a more modern one. Yeah. Is that just on the S guitars, or is that on...
That's on the S guitars mainly, yeah. We can offer a floating trem, a vintage trem, vintage tuners, locking tuners. All our bridges are made by a company called ABM, who are in Berlin. Just absolutely amazing hardware, built for tone more than anything.
So there's really a market for anyone, whatever the playing style, if it's vintage
Indeed.
style or modern, there's something that will appeal there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we've got our T-style guitar, that's a similar thing, patinated guards, swan pash bodies. Same options on the necks, we do different neck profiles by the way, and different fretboard radii and fret sizes. We have a single cut carved top guitar. Our model's called the Macon, and that's available fully solid, semi-chambered or fully chambered. That can come in humbucker P90 or P90 P90.
So again, whatever you're after, really, there's something there.
Yeah, we try and cover most bases, even though our production is pretty small.
And do you say there's a junior version of that?
And a junior version of that as well, which is slab body, still with a set neck.
Okay.
And the body on that is mahogany, and with the neck you've got an option of mahogany or roasted maple. While I was in America and building flat top acoustics, we built a few guitars branded Faith Carolina, okay, which were then brought to this country and sold. When I moved back to the UK, then I had the opportunity to get more involved with Faith.
Right, okay.
So I now do all the design work and the technical consultancy to Faith and the product development, and work with the manufacturers in Indonesia. So plus, better than that, all the Faith guitars that are sold in this country at least come through my shop.
Yeah, I've seen the guys.
So we open every single box, get the instrument out, check it over, set it up, and make sure that it's fit for purpose.
Yeah, we've seen the guys all working on them today, so they always reach the shop in optimum playing condition.
That's the idea.
So tell me a little bit about the Shergold. Is that same?
It's exactly the same deal. We do all the design work here, product development here. Because we've got our own workshops, when we're doing product development on guitars that are built overseas, we have the opportunity to build them here first. So, you know, if we're looking at certain aspects, we can basically try them out first in our own shop, and that, I think, makes us fairly unique.
Love it. Love it. Now then, lots of positive comments coming in on the Simon Jones video we ran a few weeks ago down there in deepest depths of Cornwall. A long way down, well worth it, visiting his lovely guitar collection. We're now going to roll out with a film taken at BRG Live last year, where Simon's on the famous couch talking about more guitars, and he's going to treat us to some excellent finger picking. Enjoy this. Before we go, I must say though, all this was pre-recorded before the lockdown. Welcome back to Britain's Rare Guitars Live here at the Edge Conference Centre in Wigan. We've had some heavy rock and roll the last 10-20 minutes. Very good. We're going to bring it right down now with Simon Jones, all the way up from Cornwall. Nice to meet you, Simon.
How you doing?
We've met before, lots of times, Simon.
I've known you a very long time, actually.
You have. Don't say how long.
Longer than I want to admit.
Yes, but your guitar collection, I've seen you have red Strats, all the Les Pauls and all that sort of stuff, and suddenly you went down the find something different road.
Odd.
Well, odd and weird, I would say. Very unusual guitar collection this time. Pick this one first.
Well, I brought a bit of a collection along that was displayed.
Actually, this is a very small percentage of the collection.
It is, yeah. But I mean, what I've got here really is just to show off some different things that you don't usually hear. I'm going to start with this. This is actually nothing special. It's amazingly special, but it's not. It's an Alvarez. Cheap. I think it's a Chinese-made one. But the thing, these get talked about. Baritone guitars get talked about, and lots of people go, "Oh yeah, baritone." But most people think of like metal. They've got a detuned guitar and they're doing metal and that sort of thing. It's not. If you get an acoustic, it's very different. I mean, you basically.
Because you can play all the metal guitar playing we see works. I've seen you play live. You're a very, very good electric guitar player. But you're going to demonstrate some picking.
Well, yeah, just to show what... I mean, I think every guitarist that has got an interested bone in their body in sort of extending their vocabulary on any instrument should have a baritone, because it's... I got it and it changed my life. It was one of those things you couldn't really put down. As soon as you got it, you're like, oh my God, everything sounds so much better. See? A very rich. I suppose it's like the guitar version of a cello.
There's essence of Jamaican or the cedar guitars.
Yeah, but I mean, what you've got with the baritone is it's five. It's basically, you think of a normal guitar, it's 5 frets lower, so you can play everything normally. It's also good if you're singing. If you want to lower something to a pitch that you can actually sing to, you can play it on a baritone. But I love it. It's just a great. And if you chuck me that one, we can go one even deeper.
Flipping heck. Chuck it, you're going to risk me.
So that's fairly big, large, bulbous body. Much
big,
like,
large,
like my own.
Very shiny.
And this one is a contrabass, and this is essentially an octave guitar. So you've got so normal guitar is there, and everything else is lower.
Oh yes, yeah.
So it's like, which is very rich and low, beautiful sort of. That sort of, which is lovely. Obviously, it's got these massive, great silk strings on it.
What size are they?
They're size large. We're going to go. I don't know, but I had to actually order in a set from America. But this was, again, when it comes to collecting, if you kind of keep your eyes open, you don't really know what's going to come around the corner. And I didn't know I wanted this until someone said, I've got this. So I went, oh God, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I didn't know I needed it until, you know, the moment it arrived on my lap.
How old is this one?
This one, it's actually, again, this is an Aria, but it's actually a master-built Aria. They didn't make them for very long. I think it's about 96, I think, this one. But huge, great thing.
Just play some chords again like you did.
Depth is...
Fantastic.
It's lovely, isn't it? Just rich
you
and...
can hear songs and lyrics coming out.
As soon as I got this, I started thinking, oh, I can do wine bar gigs now. I can sit in the corner just quietly and play some chords whilst everybody's having their dinner and just kind of... and get paid loads of money. Don't have to put up with drummers then.
Well, it's all out the window when the drummers start. Sorry, drummers.
Anyway, it's that one. There we go.
Okay, swap this one.
Nice
Yeah,
one.
this little puppy here, I like this one. This looks pretty old to me.
I had to bring this one along. I've got to say, actually, because we talked about this one not long back, didn't we? And I was told that this is old, but I was told it was 1892.
Wow.
And again, which is something I love about guitar collecting, is you can't know everything. So I was actually corrected. It's 1911, which is great. It's got connections to Salvador Ibanez. So anybody who's into Ibanez guitars, Salvador Ibanez was the original Spanish builder who made this style guitar. And in fact, he might very well have built this guitar. And Ibanez was stolen from the Japanese company that imported them.
Yeah,
and they continued. Yeah. So they just stole the name Ibanez. Ibanza, or however the Spanish say it correctly. But this one's beautiful. And it's funny, this one, I haven't had this very long actually, but this has been a want of mine for a very long time. It's just that sound, yeah.
Beautiful phrasing.
So sweet.
Now, let's just talk about that playing. That was very, very good. Excellent. The what we now call patina on modern guitars that are trying to look old. Just hold that up to the camera, the sides.
Yeah, so you've got... I mean, this actually, I'd also point out, it's got a big crack in it. And usually this sort of guitar, I've got some friends, some luthiers, that are very good at repairing things like this. This would usually go off, but because it's so nice, I haven't been able to part with it for any length of time.
Yeah, it won't be the same, will it?
But and I will get that done because that will open up, I'm sure. But I kind of love guitars like this because you have to love them a little bit to look after them. This one actually came up in an auction house. And again, it had ancient old strings on it, frets that were just green.
It was a real bad state, because you like setting up and working guitars.
I'll buy a guitar in a Tesco's carrier bag with the neck in a different Tesco's carrier bag if it's something I want, you know.
I've actually been to Simon's house and he's had some bags of bits. What? Go back 6 months later and you've got something like this.
Well, my last purchase, literally, in fact, this morning, I was chatting to a friend of mine in America. I've agreed to it, is a harp guitar. Now, any of you guys probably saw there was a harp guitar on the stand out on the show earlier. They're very expensive. I've been looking one for years. But this one, somebody, so you imagine a Gibson harp guitar, they've chopped the harp side off. They've literally just got a saw, chopped it off, cut it there. And I just went, right, I love that. I swapped them a Mesa Boogie amplifier for it, so I'm just got to send that out. But then I'm going to restore that, have that put together again, because I just felt sorry for it. It was like the puppy that's in the corner that's underfed, you know.
Are you a regular? I know you're searching and looking all the time. You are a proper avid collector of, let's call them oddities for a minute.
You've said this to me before because you've seen lots of collections and you've gone, I'm odd. You know me long enough, you know I'm odd, but I'm strange in the fact that, you know, you can see the weird guitars I've got here, but they don't sit in the same category. Most people are like, I've got a Les Paul, a Strat, and a whatever.
That's what I mean.
You know, I love this, and I've got a triple neck BC Rich that glows in the dark, you know, so. He's
got some amazing electric guitars. Let's just go for the multi-strung one there a minute.
Okay, well, this is I've got two guitars here, electric and a classical. This one was actually made for me by a builder I didn't know until they sort of came up on Facebook. But I've always wanted one. This is a 10-string. Now,
where's this built?
this is built in Leeds by...
Oh, it's a British mate.
It's Emil Purcell. Unfortunately, never met him in real life, but amazing builder from what I've got. I mean, the first thing, you know, I liked him straight away because I took this out when he sent it to me. I just went, this is amazing, exactly what I wanted. But there was a list of him apologising about things that weren't up to his spec, and I just think, oh, bless him. If I could build something like this, I wouldn't apologise. It's amazing.
So the little permutations here, you've got a sound hole in the top. Look, show that to the...
So, yeah, so you've got a sound hole, so where you're sat, you can actually hear what's going on. But the idea behind this is actually, essentially it's a 7-string guitar, but with 3 drone or harp strings at the bottom.
Are they in a certain key all the time, or do you want to...
You can kind of do what you want with them. You can set them. So, I mean, it's like... So you've got that sort of thing, you know, and you can keep going. But I love it. I think it's an absolute brilliant
thing. The redwood? Is it Purple Heart or anything?
This is Purple Heart, yeah. So you've got strips, multi-strips in the back.
We've certainly had some diversity of sound here today.
It's a stunning thing.
Electric.
So the electric, the next one up is the 8-string.
Oh, goodness.
And this was made for me as well. And this was built by a very good friend of mine, Stephen Hart. And I've actually got now...
He's a British maker.
22 of his guitars or something. He's very persuasive. Like, okay. I've just built this, Simon. That's nice. How much do you want for that?
It's got to be done. Be rude not to, really.
It would, yeah.
Ring you up and say, buy it.
Excuse me.
So we're going to go through the amplifier of this one.
So the thing I find interesting is you get an 8-string, and most people play like the metal stuff, but what they're missing a trick, really. Because it's actually a bass, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're missing it if you're not actually...
Playing like a bass.
So you got all of that sort of thing. And you get loads of metal players. I mean, I'm not slagging off metal at all, because it's brilliant. I mean, what they do... In fact, I find it quite difficult to drop the tuning to some of the, like, low A's or whatever. I can't keep them in tune. But my very first 8-string was a Conklin, which I didn't get on with. I loved the guitar. Bill Conklin, an American, amazing builder. But it was actually this, but it had a high A. And because I'm quite hard on playing, I put the string on and play one chord and break the string. And it was actually designed for country, which obviously doesn't work for me. So I sold it to somebody.
As well.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
Crazy. All right, moving on.
Excuse me?
You've got so many guitars here. That's the only reason I'm saying let's move on a little bit.
I'll show you this, because this is, again, something that many people can find. But again, if you're a guitarist and you've got the set of skills to play guitar, then you should buy one of these, because it's great, you know?
Are you a salesman?
Me,
Very
yeah.
good salesman.
I build these. So this is an 11-string fretless.
Oh, my goodness. That's a bit of that. Okay.
Which is interesting. This is based on an oud, which is like a Middle Eastern instrument. Made by Godin, limited kind of run. Not surprisingly, guitarists went,
was this
how's
about
that
the
thing?
90s? Did it come out in the 90s?
Yeah, about then.
Yeah,
sort of late 90s, wasn't it, I think? But it's just a great piece of kit. It's very playable, but the problem is obviously the intonation. A lot of people go, you can't play in tune. Well, that's not actually the idea. It's degrees of out of tune that make it sound good, if you know what I mean.
This will be fun then.
So I'll do it. and so on.
Man, we've got to give him
So
a
it's like kind of...
Absolutely brilliant.
It's the best guitar for someone who's out of tune all the time. You just go, I do it on, but it's jazz, man. You know?
Yeah, very, very good.
You can really get that sort of... So you've got... On a normal guitar, because you've got it fretted, you get the one note. But on this, you've got microtones, which is the whole thing for...
It's a very well, all these are very good recordable guitars,
This is the thing. I mean, I do lots of recording, and I play with an awful lot of diverse musicians, really. And you always get the gig if you've got the weird thing that they go, oh, I remember years back, a guy going, can you play sitar? I was like, no, but I'll take the gig and I'll work out how to do it. So, you know, I've got a sitar and all this sort of thing. And you don't have to be, I mean, this sort of thing, if I went up against a proper oud player, I'd embarrass myself, you know,
well,
totally.
We don't know what oud players sound, though, we don't.
But the way I play it, or the way I fit it into the music I create, or the music that, you know, I can put this into, it's unique, it's unusual, and you can't get a normal guitar to sound like it. Same as the baritone or the contrabass. These things, if you've got them, I mean, there's a lot of people that go, I need this other guitar, or I need a Les Paul, I need a Strat, I need a Telly.
Play the same riffs.
But after a while, everything sounds the same, doesn't it? You've got it's got a single caller, it's got a humbucker or whatever. But if you've got something like this, there's nothing. You can justify it if there's a place in your musical...
Very good songwriting, inspirational.
Oh, totally. If you pick something up... And I actually quite like it because there's not enough guitarists that pick up something they have no idea what to do with and go, OK, just have a go, you know, which is the fun part, isn't it?
So in the corner, this is what I like about Simon's collection. Maybe we went down to his house a few months ago. It's just it's bizarre. You think, OK, we've got lime green. We've got something lime green coming up here. Smarty guitar, I called this one. So.
We've affectionately been calling this today the Christmas tree bling guitar.
Oh, wonderful. Love it.
So this is quite a nice little thing. Excuse me.
Made by?
This is interesting because I don't know the builder. The guy's called Derek Misselbrook. And I'd love to meet him because he's just as mad as I am, I think.
Hold up towards the camera a little bit. Look at the heads. Look at the colours on the headstock. So you don't know what pickups are in it?
It's
obviously single chord.
I do. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. Nice pickups.
Hey, switches.
So you got switches. You obviously got your 5-way switch, your normal switch, and then you've got these. And I mean, this is more important than the sound, obviously. I like this guitar because I'm a very lazy guitarist. If I can get away with entertaining people by not actually putting any effort in, it's brilliant. Just yes, I appreciate it. You do that, but also it's great. The kids love it at Christmas. I just put it on a stand and put their presents underneath it. So
when we talked before this started, I promised not to call him old.
It's all right. I wear the banner happily.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this keep noodling. This really does signify the guitar collection of Simon Jones, and it's like I said before, it's find another one.
It's ever evolving as well. It's kind of
brilliant.
And the cool thing is, I mean, today walking around, came here, I thought, brilliant. You know, I'm going to meet lots of people, I'm going to see lots of guitars, but I'm on a stall, and then I'm talking to you, so I can't really walk around. I think I've agreed to 2 guitars. You know, buying 2 guitars.
I told you not to.
You kind of...
How are you going to get them home with it? To email them home?
Well, no, it's quite good. He's taken them with him. I went, we'll talk about a deal like this, but I'm like, yeah, we will have a talk about that deal. Yeah. But
hey, no. Simon, very, very good. I love your playing.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Nice to see you again, Lars.
Yeah, you take care.
Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you very much, Mr. Simon Jones.
Thank you.